This is the situational approach for 300 movie. First, let's start with some background. Leonidas is definitely a brave leader. He puts his values over conditions. He could have submitted to his power and avoid lots of deaths, but he decided to attain to Spartan traditions, meaning that honor is more important than peace. You have to remember that at the beginning of the movie, you can see how little Spartan boys are raised only to fight and with honor in mind and for love of their countries. Then we have a dichotomy: what is legal versus what is right. He had to decide whether to do what is right or what is legal. It was illegal to take the whole country to war without the Senate's approval, but it was right to present fight against invaders. So he recruited an elite group of warriors and took them to war himself, totally motivated by duty and honor. These Spartans fought relentless and exceeded performance compared to Persian army. Now let's talk about some characteristics of situational approach. The most distinguishable aspect of situational approach is its prescriptive function. Among the studied approaches, this is the only one that exposes what to do according to diagnostics. Remember the classification of D1, D2, D3, and D4. Now, part of the criticism exposed by the book itself says that it lacks of considering some details about people, like for example gender preference between men and women, and the outcome, the performance of experienced players that most of the time is not related to the leader's actions. Also, we must consider that this approach has been widely adopted in business context because of its facility to understand and easiness of application. Now, all these reasons make the diagnostic part easy and the prescription part difficult, because in a company, a leader should get the best out of their people, and sometimes you cannot just fire them if you consider them not to be good enough. On the other hand, Spartans were supporters of eugenics, and war conditions allowed Leonidas to be more strict in his standards. A difficult situation for a leader in Ecuador, for example, could be to include as part of the team a disabled person because law enforces it. For Leonidas, it was more easy to reject the hunchback as part of his army, as he didn't even need creativity to assign him a job. Let's remember that the Spartans' 300 army were an elite group of soldiers, so it is expected for them to have high recruitment standards and high outcome too. Now let's start with diagnostics. In D1 we have Ephialtes, the hunchback.
Yo soy Ephialtes. Vengo de Esparta. Fue por amor que mis padres se fueron de Esparta. Me habrían sacrificado.
Tu escudo y armadura.
De mi padre, señor. Le suplico, gran rey, me permita redimir el nombre de mi padre sirviéndole en combate. Mi padre me entrenó para no temer. Y la espada, y el escudo, y la lanza son parte de mí como mi corazón. Me ganaré la armadura de mi padre, noble rey, sirviéndole en la batalla.
Buena técnica.
Asesinaré a muchos persas.
Alza tu escudo.
Señor.
Alza tu escudo hasta donde alcances.
He is not allowed to fight. Leonidas asks him to carry water and help injured soldiers. That was the only way he could support Spartans for victory. Now the Arcadians. Arcadians were vastly greater number of soldiers than Spartans. supposedly, because of you consider them because of the weapon, because of the fact of having weapons, they are soldiers. But there is this important scene.
Me equivoqué al pensar que los espartanos eran tantos como nosotros.
¿Eso crees? Tú, dime, ¿cuál es tu profesión?
Soy alfarero, señor.
¿Y tú, Arcadiano, cuál es tu profesión?
Escultor, señor.
Ya veo. ¿Y tú?
Carpintero, señor.
¡Espartanos! ¿Cuál es su profesión?
So, if you take account that Leonidas' men were all soldiers and Arcadians were regular people acting as soldiers, then you can get the idea that Spartans were a large number of soldiers than Arcadians were. In D2 we have Herhes commanders. They are motivated mainly by fear to the god king Herhes, so he has to keep pushing them to get victories, to keep threatening them. In D3 we have Herhes' army in general. They are slaves especially, so they are forced to be in war. It's not their convictions or their benefits, but they do have some training in war that makes them to perform good and sometimes to perform poor. In D4 we have the 10,000 immortals. These 10,000 people were elite warriors, the strongest force in Asia. They were furious beasts born to kill. So Hermes was totally confident sending them to battle, and he was absolutely sure they were going to win. The 10,000 immortals didn't win, but they killed a large number of Spartan soldiers. And last but not least, we have 300 Spartans. That was the whole movie was all about. So they are warriors and anything else. You can see since they're very young, even children, how they're trained to fight. So in the movie, these characters are idealized, brave and strong Greek soldiers. You can see they exceed and outperform in every aspect related to the other opponents.
Amanece. Los látigos truenan. Los bárbaros aúllan. Los de atrás gritan. Los del frente gritan. Nuestros ojos atestiguan el grotesco espectáculo proveniente del rincón más oscuro del imperio de Jerjes.
The only thing that could defeat the Spartans was the fact that Persian army was overwhelmingly superior in number, and of course the betrayal of the hunchback. And that's it for 300, and thanks.